Welcome to the View Looks Good podcast with And Passos and me, Kim Van Niekerk. We are touring through everything that it means to live and work nervous systems first and sharing it all with you here. New to season 4 is an invitation to start this episode with a brief moment for you. Enjoy the music and we'll meet you on the other side. Welcome to this episode where we are diving into the topic of comparison. This one has reared itself for me over the summer quite a lot. This natural point of looking at others, people I know, people I'm close with, people I'm not close with, and just beginning to notice how frequently my body looks and makes comparison. And I have to say, I suddenly was like, this is a normal thing, right? This is just something that I kind of trust that this is something everybody does. But it does also have some roots in our evolution as human beings. Plenty of theories out there, like social comparison theory, that says it's just we're wired this way to be able to drive our behavior, our decision making, that also there's some roots in social dynamics of how we compare ourselves to others in order to evaluate our position in society, or we do it in order to have some kind of survival advantage. I mean, it's kind of safe to say that we are evolutionarily, is that even a word? We're wired to evolve with comparison as a tool. I get a little bit of comfort from that, which is nice, but it can be seriously problematic in the age that we're living in. And I've really noticed how problematic it can be over the course of the summer. And I just wanted to put this topic on the table for our discussion and our focus. Ever compared yourself, Anne, to anyone?
No, I don't do that. Just no, of course. Oh. And you know what is I find crazy is I'm talking to my 4.5-year-old and she's comparing all the time. Not all the time. Let me take that out of the vocabulary because we're trying. But it starts at such an early age of I'm bigger, I'm faster, I'm stronger. It's all comparison. I look at you compared to me, and I make some kind of deduction of whether I am of higher status or of lower status to you. And then yeah, gosh, the summer, bodies, intellect, the workplace and intellect. Am I smart enough? I mean, my whole performance appraisal is around comparisons. Where are you in terms of the rest of your colleagues in the organization? And we're all striving to try and be at the top of the class, the top of the performance cycle. And you kind of have to compare to what other people are doing to know where you fare. So comparison comes in pretty much every aspect of life.
And I'm going to add to your list. I've just today alone noticed lifestyle comparison with people doing way more sort of artsy cultural things. I was like, should I be doing more of that? Am I making the right choices? I'm comparing the options that I've taken with my kids, the amount of pressure I'm putting them on for exam preps. You know, have I invested enough in their well-being in various ways? Because I've seen other people doing it differently. Today, just alone, the question marks that have come up on, am I doing it right? Should I have done it differently? it's so interesting how often it comes up.
Mm.
And I don't have the stats to hand, but I have been reading recently about how our use of social media obviously is exposing us to such massive circles of people. And we are now comparing ourselves even more frequently than we would have on a regular basis. So it just goes to show it's kind of everywhere.
That's quite an interesting one, bringing in the social media aspect and the fact that we now compare to the whole world, because one part of it is overwhelmingly daunting, and at the same time, it's totally freeing. Whereas what I'm thinking of is before I lived in a small community and I compared myself across that community, and if I was different, it stood out, and I felt vulnerable. I felt exposed. Whereas living in a place like London and then having access to essentially the entire world, I look at it and see, oh, there's so many different ways of doing things that I compare, and also, ah, who cares? Like, it doesn't really matter. So I'm noticing, just as you say
Mm.
it, that I'm having mixed reactions. Sometimes sympathetic is kicking in, sometimes dorsal's kicking in, or it's too much, and sometimes it's helping me to stay ventral because there's so
But
many different ways to do things.
let's dissect that as to why that's happening. Because if you are looking out into that wider pool and you're finding others that are also different, listen to how safe that starts to feel.
Mm.
Oh, I'm not the only one that's a bit different. There are lots of others out there. Oh, the safety, the safety, the safety. So when you're looking at and making that comparison, it's bringing you comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So it's activating that ventral vagal nerve and it just, we can calm ourselves.
Mm.
But if you're looking out and you're comparing and you're seeing thinner, more beautiful, younger, um, have hit workplace goals earlier, like higher up the ranks, um,
Thousands
more likes on
of
social media, more followers, like, and you're making a comparison with judgment of yourself. So making yourself, criticizing yourself, moving into survival mode, or criticizing others, all that judgment creeps in. That's when it feels like really, really unhealthy and potentially very hurtful for yourself, for others around you.
Mm. And I want to just stay on this point here a little bit on the judgment, because I can actually feel my chest getting quite tight as we speak about it, and as as I put myself into that space of feeling less than somebody else, like, darn it. Ah, ah, like it's just, I'm so far off it all. I'm screwing up. I'm not going there. That judgment that has come in there, it actually makes my body quite achy if I'm conscious of it. If I'm not,
Mm,
I just get really snarky and short and mean to the people around me, um, it comes out in a different way in the quality of my work. But if I'm consciously feeling into it, like I am in this moment, I can feel that judgment coming up in my shoulders.
yeah.
I can feel the tightening in my chest. It it's definitely signaling to me, like my body is signaling to me I'm not safe.
Yeah.
And that judgment is a result of not feeling safe, and it also creates the not feeling so safe.
Yeah. I can really relate. I can notice how I go into like bitiness. Like my husband's the first one that's gonna get there, you know, because I've noticed something and I'm feeling insecure about something and I'm frustrated we're not at a particular place or we haven't managed to achieve this, or that fight mode definitely gets activated in me. And as you were talking, noticing your body, I just had the image of that judgment in my body making it crumble. Like my sense of self was literally crumbling with that judgment. Like picking up a piece of really porous rock that just crumbles under your fingers. It's like I realize how incredibly small we can make ourselves when that comparison and the judgment that comes with that comparison takes hold. And, we talk so much about how it's so important at the moment that we have more sense of self-value, self-worth, a growing sense of confidence, growing sense of capacity in the workplace, as parents, in nurturing that in our children. Like the sense of evolving and growing and becoming more feels like the complete opposite of the sensation of crumbling. And it was really interesting to spend a bit of time on this over the last week and exploring how much of the crumbling takes place and what is almost an antidote for that, because it's evolutionary, right? We're going to make comparison. How do we make comparison and not have it crumble us, make us smaller?
Can I ask, before we go into the antidote, can we just explore the different types of reactions we have? Because we've spoken about the fighting, like becoming a bit bickery, and that we would say that would be your fight response, which is our sympathetic response.
Yeah.
What other responses do we have that we can explore with judgment?
The first one that comes to mind for me is the fawn state on that sympathetic nervous system branch. Because the first thing I'll do is like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing at that. I'm rubbish at doing that. And
that's how your voice even goes higher. So true. Oh, yep, I'm definitely that's it.
That one. Or oh, I just wish I could do it like you. Like just that one creeps in a lot. That's a biggie, that fawning over someone else. And what you are ultimately doing is positioning yourself as smaller and pumping somebody else up in order to manage the discomfort and the sense of lack of in that moment. There's a lot of like gentle mocking, teasing, normally at your own self-expense, but it really doesn't serve your growth as a person. And then obviously after that will be the face-to-face environment. Afterwards, I'll be like, the self-shaming will kick in. That like, oh my gosh, why don't you do this better? Lots of that really happens. And then I think the other one that I notice is when that dorsal, parasympathetic dorsal nervous system kicks in, and it's that shutdown collapse state. It will be where I find myself just not being able to say things in spaces, because now I just feel so other, because the comparison has been so extreme and with so much judgment that I can't find words in those spaces or I just become a really small version of myself that isn't really heard when I speak, that kind of thing.
This is for myself with that one, like, as you were saying, I'm like, oh, that's the one where even if I see something nice in a person, I can't say anything. I just can't acknowledge it. I can't see it. It feels too painful, too difficult to be able to say, wow, you're really good at that. It's not that I want to hurt them. I don't want to fight them. I can't actually say, wow, you're good at that. What?
It can't come out genuine.
No, yeah. It will either come up fawning, oh, you're so much better than me, or it will come out sounding a bit fake. But it just, like, I can't say me.
And I don't know if you do the other one, which I do, which is full on avoiding. Which is my flight mode, that sympathetic flight of just avoiding, not hanging out with, not being near, always needing to disappear off somewhere else because it's so uncomfortable to be in the presence of my own insecurities
Mm.
that it's just easier to not be around someone.
Oh yeah, there are many people, and the brain is so clever. The brain is like, this is a good thing that you're doing to avoid these people or this person because that person's not good for you. As if like, it's not that a person isn't good for me. Somebody might drain me because I have got an immaturity in me or a wound or an opportunity for growth in me. That means around that person, it does trigger my sympathetic or my dorsal nervous system. But it's not that that person's not good for me. And it's I was so often I can just, are they wrong? Like they it's so much better for everyone if I just stay away. And to be fair, maybe something to say on that is I think sometimes as we're going through our growth journey, we might need to give ourselves space.
Yeah.
We might need to fight sometimes. We might need to fawn to move ourselves out of that. I actually can feel the butterflies in my tummy of the like awkwardness in that moment. We might need to take the weekend off by ourselves and sleep. Like that is all quite possibly needed, and the fact that we're doing it means that our bodies need it. But it becomes dysfunctional and problematic when we stay stuck in that, and when we never broaden our capacity to be able to welcome that in,
Yeah.
that person, that otherness in.
Yeah. Because effectively, we stay in that survival mode, we stay disconnected from others, we stay disconnected from ourselves, our full potential. So, yeah, I love that it is natural and it's okay. And if there's an option to grow, I want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit that the more I've noticed how much of that judgment I'm passing on myself and how much of the crumbling is happening, I realized there's definitely been an improvement since we've been doing all the nervous system work. I can see that my sense of self-worth is definitely growing. So it's not as like small as it used to be. But when I take time to really lean into and connect with what I do have, what I have achieved, then things start to feel very different when I make comparison. And this is kind of stepping into that antidote element of when you're starting from solid ground or just more solid ground than previously. It feels like when you meet someone and you make the comparison, it's not, oh, and I'm so bad or my life is so bad moment. It's oh, that's interesting. I'm really feeling a pull of attraction into where they're at, what they've achieved, what they're doing with their life. Oh, something in me is rising up saying, I'm curious. I think I want a bit of this. I think this is where I want to move into next. This is a signal for that growth, that movement, whatever it might be, that they are holding so well, demonstrating so beautifully, and letting me feel the pull in my body for that too. But it takes being on solid ground to be able to feel it as a moment of growth, or at least direction in where you want your growth. And I realize how much practice it actually takes if you don't have a solid ground of that self-esteem, that sense of self-worth, self-value, to build that up. My husband is amazing at being able to track his progress and what he's achieved. And he often says, oh my gosh, we've done so much in the last 6 months. Look at how much we've been doing. And I'll be like, have we? I don't feel like we've done anything. We haven't achieved anything. What are you talking about? But he can literally log everything. And I feel like he ends up being on such lovely, solid ground for, oh, but I also fancy trying out that, you know? Whereas I'll be like, oh, haven't achieved anything. Oh, haven't got to that. And there's so much of the judgment. But it's definitely a lovely signal for me now of that's what I want to practice. I want to practice reflecting on what have we achieved? What skills have I got better in? What things have I been doing that I haven't done before? Like logging my life a bit better and feeling a connection to those things with more gratitude. So not just these are the things we've done, but oh my God, I'm so pleased these are the things we've done. And I think it's made me see the practice of gratitude in the mindfulness community. I've suddenly gone, oh, it's not just because it's a good feeling. It's literally creating this solid ground beneath you. And that feels amazing to think of it that way. And I'm like, hold up, that's it. I'm dedicating more time now. I'm going to sit down and do my gratitude journaling, gratitude meditation, like sign me up.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be doing.
And so maybe just having a look. So the one thing he's speaking about is comparison in ventral. So what we're striving towards, obviously comparison happens, and if we move and our nervous systems, they move. But what we're striving for is to tone our nervous system so much, so that when we notice the comparison, and I love that example you get, instead of me going, oh, they've got that and I don't, it goes, oh, for some reason, that is the thing that's pulling. That's the thing that's wanting my attention. What about it wants my attention? And I start to have a look at it. I'm not better than, I'm not worse than. It's just that something else that wants my attention. So that's what we're striving for. What I'm hearing you saying is that we work on gratitude because that becomes the antidote. That working on gratitude helps to widen and tone my nervous system so that as I see other people, I've got such a full bucket of appreciation for my life that I don't need to suck it out of somebody else's. I can let them have theirs, and I can use the universe working in collaboration with us, bouncing us into these people as ways to notice a certain area of my life that wants to grow, wants to change, is drawing me into taking part.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, how often this is said, but like how you feel on the inside is then how you interact with life. So feeling the gratitude for what you have in life means you meet people with gratitude for meeting them, gratitude for what they're showing you, what they're sharing with you. You know, it just becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy of more, more, more. So I'm so grateful you showed up today and I've had this conversation with you and I've seen this and I felt this. This is wonderful. It's just so different from the experience of showing up and letting judgment do the comparison, making you smaller. They get bigger, you get bigger when you look at it through that lens of gratitude. And wow, that feels to me like a pretty powerful way to shift my life. So hold me to it. I want it.
Something that helped me with this as well is my sister-in-law had this wonderful, she was my friend at the time. I like to think I got my brother and sister-in-law together. But my sister-in-law said to me when I was probably about 14 years old, Anne, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. We all are exactly where we're supposed to be. And I'm finding that helps me as well. I'm making this connection now with comparison, is that when I see somebody and I see all that they've got and I don't, or I'm like, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, in this body, in this place. This is where I am here, so I'm supposed to be here. How do I grow from this? And it does shift me from being like, oh, I should have been there. Well, no, I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been that. I'm supposed to be here. So I think that's part of the gratitude as well, is like, okay, if I am exactly where I'm meant to be, then I'm going to listen out for everything around me in a way that it's helping me to grow rather than in a way that it's threatening me
Yeah.
and trying to show me up.
I actually would love us to do a podcast episode on our core beliefs, because I think that one is such a powerful core belief to have, to settle us into a more ventral state, that safety state of, this is everything that I'm supposed to have, be, do in this moment. And then, like you say, it's such a lovely place to kick off from when the comparison happens naturally. Yeah, such a powerful core belief.
Other things, you've spoken about gratitude journals, um, gratitude meditation. Other things that we can do that also, because I can hear myself going to a bit of like, I'm never good at keeping a journal. Can you hear the comparison jump in right there? Hi. I'm not doing it like I'm supposed to do it. I'd like to believe I'm not alone. I think there are many people who don't necessarily have that practice, perhaps, in their life. And I want to share as well that it's also not the end of the world if you don't have the practice. I think you can bring it in many different ways. Our meetings that we have, so if you're meeting with people regularly, if you've got a therapist, if you've got a colleague that you meet with, a spouse, a family member, or a house share, there are opportunities just to build it into a bit of the conversation there. So when you get home, instead of being like, everything about my day has just been a wreck, of course, that vent might be necessary. And we have the invitation to also talk about what can we be grateful for? What happened today that was wonderful, that helped us to grow, that filled us with awe, that felt safe, where we really felt like we could show up, shine. Like that can come into those conversations.
Yeah. Actually, I'm so pleased you've mentioned that, because I have a very dear friend who I speak to or voice note very regularly. And at one point, she actually said, I'm going to start sending you messages of things I'm grateful for, because it's a really good way to get myself into that habit. And it's a good reminder, because I'm going to start doing it back with her, because we've got out of the habit of doing that. But it's such a nice, easy way to bring it in. Yeah. And there's also quite a lot of research around the power of awe. So getting out in nature, spending a bit of time, I think we should do more on this as a topic as well, but putting yourself in situations where you're just looking around and being like, this is my life. Like when you're in beautiful spaces or in great company, and like just that mental log, like, this is my life, like banking it, I'm going to bank this. Those glimmer moments that Deb Downer talks about, where everything just got a little bit of a sparkle on it, like banking that in your body of like, this is my life. So I think lots of ways to be playful with this.
Yeah, another one I've noticed myself doing is just to go outside the door and barefoot and put my feet in the grass as like my reminder of like, oh, I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm safe. Because I think that it's easier to do comparison judgmentally when I've spent a day in a kind of a sympathetic state of survival. Go, 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 go. Even if it's not necessarily feeling threatened, there is an element of go, go, go in that. So something I've started to do is around my lunch break, walk outside with my lunch and just feel the grass beneath my feet. And I wonder if that's also one of those things, like those anchor points to touch if you've got like a kid has a favorite blankie, I feel like that's like comfort for the kid. It's like, oh, I'm safe.
Yeah.
It's I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Um, a nice pillow or a dress. I definitely, I love dresses. I love the feeling of material swooshing around me. Just
But
makes
isn't
me
it
so
about
happy.
being conscious of those moments, those feelings? I get so that this word banking, like it's kind of like really sitting with me of like, I've had so many moments today where I'm like, oh, bank, like sitting with my kids and just having dinner and just being like, they were being super funny. And I was like, if I think I want to consciously bank those a bit more of like, yeah, this is my life. Mm,
Mm.
this is my life. So, yeah, and I would love to hear from you guys. What do you have in your life that you do routine or sometimes ad hoc that just helps you come back down to earth and sit in the just the beauty of your life, like feeling that solid ground beneath you? If you've got tips, we want to hear them. I definitely want to hear them. I'm on a mission to be working on this now.
Build it into every moment of the day, different ways just to bring our attention to that rather than what we don't have, what we're missing. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
There's something that I want to add to this conversation as well, is that comparison is happening all around us regularly. And as I said, I can see it coming in. It happens already in our school system. I can see it in my conversation with my child. It's like, oh, you're better today. You've improved. So, which is a comparison from yesterday. So I'm trying to consciously do comparison in a way of growth, but I'm aware that comparison is still around, and judgmental comparison is around us. And that's something also to be gentle with ourselves with, is that we're essentially trying to steer a massive ship in a completely different direction. And it might feel at any one point that we're not really moving, but every little bit of change that we make around how we compare and how we prepare our nervous systems to be in a healthier state to look in comparisons, we change the course and we make life different for each generation to come. And so there's something in me saying, Kim, that how do we be gentle with ourselves during that time? And I mean, it does feel like I want to do a massive shout out of it, like, come join our community where you can be surrounded by people who are wanting to do the way we compare differently, and become conscious of which nervous system state we're in and what it's trying to tell us in that state. But surrounding yourself or having space, like making it so familiar to be grateful, is not the norm at the moment for many people. So you might be the one who's trying to spark this change in your community, whether that community is your little family, your big family, your organization that you work in. And that can sometimes feel a bit lonely because everything around you might be telling you you're doing it wrong. Um, and yet, in those moments when you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, to still be able to anchor into gratitude. Breathe. Feel safety. And fill up the tank to be able to continue forward with a little bit more capacity, a little bit wiser, growing a little bit more. And I guess that's just the nature of evolution. I don't know if you have anything else on that.
Oh, I can just hear we can evolve smaller. with judgment and comparison? Or we can evolve. Big is not the word I'm looking for, but we can grow. We can, yeah, voila. We can evolve and grow with gentleness and some self-compassion and some gratitude. Yeah.
And actually, as I said as well, even when the world around you is perhaps being judgmental, sympathetic in themselves or dorsal, it actually is when we still anchor ourselves and find that ventral space. It makes life better for ourselves and it makes life better for the people around us. So it doesn't take actually anything to get there for ourselves.
And on that note, I am going to encourage people to please reach out, share your stories. If you fancy practicing this kind of stuff together, that is exactly what we're doing in the community space at The View Looks Good. So please come and check it out. We would love to host you there and show you around. And in the meantime, hopefully this has sparked a little something in you, like it has in us. So if you do go away and practice anything, also let us know. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to connecting with you next time.
Goodbye. Want to dive in? Visit our website at theviewlooksgood.com to discover more about how you can support your nervous system in your personal space or supporting your nervous system in the workplace, whether for yourself, your team, or the organization. On the website, you will also find a link to sign up to our newsletter and a link to join our community where you can continue to practice in a completely judgment-free space. Now we invite you to go into the world, being unapologetically human. Enjoy.